Hi everyone. Hope everyone's doing good. Big game coming up. Obviously, they're all big now. They're absolutely massive, aren't they? And given our recent form, yeah, I mean, every game is huge. But Leeds versus Luton away, tougher than the league table. 100. It's definitely one of them games. 100%. And there's reasons for that, and I'll explain it. So ignore our lineup for a second. I'll go through that in a minute. But just looking at them and how we're going to match up, the biggest thing I see straight away is physicality. You know, you got McGuinness, who's massive, physical. Makoso at the back, who they brought in, I believe, in January from Belgium. I think big, Bell, big. And then they've got Walsh, who's very combative, box to box, hard working. Asgard's a big lad, powerful runner, powerful with the ball driving. Will find spaces in and around the box. At Doherty, we know it's decent in the Prem, good player, very good player. Gets them balls into the boxes, and that's the key part here. Is these two, Adebayo and Morris. This is the battle. This right here, these four. It's so key. This, I think a lot of season you don't really come up against two unless they change the formation. It's coming down to that man for man physical fight between Rodon, Strauch, Morris, and Adebayo. Really, and this is what we need. This is what we need to prove. Can we deal with these? Because regardless of how clinical they've been this season, Adebayo and Morris are big physical players that will put it about. We have to be up to that. I think this game it's kind of good and bad for us at the same time, because looking at them, they are, for the most part, a physical team, right? Whether that's speed, strength, power, whatever. They are in some form physical. We're an excellent football team. And of course, if you have that incentive, you can win the game. We know, and we've seen, and everyone's seen every season, when it gets to this point of the season, those physical battles are vital. The mentality side of it. The crowd are going to be up for it. These lot are scrapping. And I know people will say 23rd should beat them. Yeah, obviously. 100% should. But should is a word that doesn't really exist at these ends of the season. It's literally about me v you. Don't matter where you are on the table. Man for man, I'm going to beat you. Everyone does that. We win the game. The player's not going to look at the table and go, "We should beat these." They're going to look at the person in front of them and say, "I'm going to beat you. I'm going to be better than you." You know, pride. They're fighting to stay in the league. We're fighting for the Premier League. We've got to need this, and this is why I kind of did it this way, a bit different. I don't usually do this because I think it's really important to understand what we're up against. You know, like I've said, Walsh is I've not seen loads of him, but I've watched Luton once or twice this season. Walsh is combative, box to box, aggressive player. He'll do the dirty stuff. He'll get involved in goals as well. I think he's got about 7 or 8 goal involvements this season, so he'll get involved. He'll attack. And Asgard is the same, a bigger player, more silky with the ball. Will drive into the box. You know, crosses are going to be big in this. How can we defend out wide? I believe Burke. I believe Jones is back, who's a very quick player, by the way. So again, we talked about central areas. These areas are also massive as well. These ones right here. These battles. How much the wingers help. Who gets involved? Does Morris come out? You know, whatever happens, we have to be on it. Because regardless how good or bad they are, individually, they've got some pretty decent players who are physical, which is kind of our kryptonite at times. That's the evening out here. They may be a poor side, but our kryptonite is physicality, in my opinion. And that's what they are. They will put crosses in the box. They will try stretch the back line. They will be aggressive up against the fullback, against the centre backs 1v1. That's where we struggle. Jones is very quick. Doughty is very good at crossing. He's very good at 1-2s and movement and stuff like that. But best believe, you've got to expect. You might turn up and they could be to form like they have been most of the season and not be very good. But you can't go into the game thinking that. You've got to go into the game looking at the best of each player in case that comes. And that's why people always say when I do these, you always make them sound like Barcelona. Yeah, you always got to expect the best. Always, 100%. You can never underestimate what you can up against. Expect that they will be the best they can be, because that gets you up for the game. That makes you understand the level. And then if you go into the game and you're kind of cruising, you know the level you need to be at. And you need to stay at that level and punish them. And that's what we can do. And it's really important as well, because there's this, like back five, people hear back five and think, oh, defensive, but it's not really. Obviously, from a defensive perspective, when you're in a block, it can be. Obviously, there's less spaces. But going forward, and it's quite obvious, the key areas are these areas. Whether that's, and this is why Dan James starts this one for me, and I'll get into our team lineup in a minute. Dan James has to start. Well, he doesn't have to, but I think personally, who's the best at exploiting spaces? It's Dan James. Because what he will do 100% is Doherty will go forward. He's a big part of their attack. He has to. Which means if we can win the ball, there will 100% be space for James. 100%. And that means you're looking at a McGuinness, who is a big centre-back playing on that left side, who will be exploited in wide areas. And that's what you've got to do. That's what you've got to do. If they change it and they bring a midfielder out, this is where centrally now we're looking at, they take him out to try and deal with James if doubt is high, a bit like that. Now we're looking at these spaces, these little ones here. These are the ones we've got to exploit. This is where Aronson's got to come into it. James stays wide. It's all about moving them around. Because with a back five, although it seems like there's more there, it's kind of not the. If you've got five at the back, you've got one less in midfield, right? Realistically, or you've got one less in a certain area, which means there will be space to exploit. You've just got to find it and be patient with it. And that's why Bogle, again, when we're attacking, really get at these two. I want McGuinness out here. I want him to be stretched. And this is where Perot comes in these spaces. And this is where we need the other wingers, Firpo, getting on that back line. Because you can exploit a back five. It is tough sometimes if they're in really good shape and the balance in the wide areas with the Doherty and Jones are really good and they're really regimented in the middle. It is hard. It's very hard at times. I remember at uni, our Kryptonite was a back five. I think when you've got tools like Dan James, you've got fullbacks like Firpo and Bogle who will drift, and naturally, because they drift into random spaces, these guys here are centre-backs. You want to drag them out. And they're out here. This is where we are deadly. In these areas here, we are deadly. Same up here. So we're looking, whoever it is, wherever it is, these gaps. If he goes out, these gaps. If he doesn't, if he stays side central, and Doherty does really well to get back, now we're looking at 2v1s. This is what we've got to do. If Walsh, for example, helps back, and we're kind of in this situation, again, can we exploit centrally? We've got to be on it. You don't come against this formation too much, and you've got to have a certain way of playing. Because it is very different. It's a back five, not a back four. It's completely different. 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 4-2-2, bit different because there's two up top. But for the most part, you come up against a midfield 3 and 1 up top and 4 at the back, whatever that looks like. Whereas a back five is different. There's literally 3 at the back, a midfield of 4 with the fullbacks getting high, and then 2 up top usually, or 2 in behind the striker. It's very different. This is my point. So we've got to, the wide areas are key. We've got to be good. We've got to move the ball quickly, and we have to drag them out of spaces and exploit. That's the key thing. If you drag them out, even if it's a Tanaka, anyone, can we find Perot early? Can we find Dan James early if this guy's more central? Can we find Bogle early and exploit a 2v1? Can we drag these centre-backs out of the middle? They want to be in here. Let's exploit them. Let's drag them out. Let's drag this guy out of central spaces so we can play in there. That's what we've got to do. Now, quickly, our team. What do I want to play? What's our team going to look like? Going on what the manager said, obviously we know Darlow's going to be in goal for this one. Misley has got the break he needs. Darlow will be in net. Strauch and Rodon, without a doubt. It's a really big game for them too. This is going to be tough. And I think what we can accept, now we've got the change in the goal, now we talk about random things. Now we know, at least, we've got Firpo and Tanaka back, who obviously didn't start the last game, which is big for us because they are very important players. They didn't start, and that did affect the game. We can talk about tying. We talk about many things, and we have, but let's put the elephant in the room here. Firpo and Tanaka starting every week is important to us, and they didn't. Now they will, hopefully. Hopefully they're back, because Tanaka and Firpo are vital. They will play. I'm assuming Ampadu will play. I'm assuming that's why he got 60 minutes, to try and get him ready quicker for the last 6-7 games of the season. If that's the case, he will play. I think he's needed in this game. Hopefully he looks better than last game, because again, Clark, Asgard, and Walsh, very physical players. Well, Clark is a bit smaller, but he'll drive, he'll be dangerous, he'll find spaces. Asgard's very tall. Walsh is very combative and aggressive. So, from what I've seen anyway, I could be completely wrong on that. Ampadu is key, is my point. Yeah. So I hope he's fit. I hope he's ready. I hope them 60 minutes helped a lot, and they usually do. And then we're talking about the wingers. This is the conversation, isn't it? Based on what I explained, and the key idea that we need to exploit wide very quick and be direct with it, I think Dan James has to play because of that. I think unless he's completely gone, I think he's got to play this one. I do. Maybe I'm wrong. And all our wingers, let's be honest, all our wingers can do a job in these games because they're really talented players and they can all do it. But Dan James is the best at off the ball, exploiting spaces. We know that. That's all he does. He's really good at it. But he needs to be on it. He needs to step up. For me, on the left, I've got a feeling Solomon will come out and Nonto will come in. And this is honestly what I want to see. I think Solomon's had an excellent last few months, but in the last 2 or 3 games, he's just looked 2 or 3% off what he's been at. And that is, for me, based on the amount of games he's played. And just general form, it happens. But he's played a lot. He's played more than he has in years and years. Maybe his whole career, honestly. He's played a lot this season. Look, this rest might have done him good. He might look sharp. He might be back on it. But just based on what I've seen and based on what I think Leeds need, which is confidence, I'd play Nonto on that left. You could see a situation where Nonto's on the right, maybe in the middle, which at this point in the season, given the fact that we need confidence players, we need players to exploit the opposition, who's shown that more in the last few games, it's been Nonto. I'd play him anywhere. Genuinely. I want him to play. I think he's shown that now. In the last 2 appearances he's made, that he's ready for this fight. So he needs to play. For me, just based on recent form, and again exploiting in wide areas, I'd play him on the wide areas, and on the left. It's again exploiting them centre backs and spreading them centre backs and making them go wide is key. And Nonto's very good at that. He'll be direct if he needs to. So yeah, on that again, I think Farke was quite praising of Aronson in his last game. So I'd assume he'd come back in and play. I thought he was all right. I think he got criticised as usual. I think he was good. I actually agree. I think he's the first half, particularly. I think he was our best attacker. I think he died out in the game, but he was. And again, going on the fact that they'll have 3 in the middle, and this is people who want Nonto in the 10, and maybe he'll play there. I don't know. I don't nothing honestly, but they literally have. It's not a 10. There's 3 midfielders. This battle, Ampadu, Tanaka, Aronson, or Nonto, whoever it is key. It is key. This battle right here, the 3v3, is massive. Because you've got 3 out-and-out midfielders in midfield. I think it would be a risk in this one to play someone like Nonto in this type of game, given it is a defined midfield 3. I think you need the experience of someone who can play centrally and play deeper, and is used to playing deeper, and energy, aggressive, high press is important. So I would honestly start with Aronson in this one based on that. Not the one on the left, to me, is going to destroy them. I really do believe that. That's what I go with. We're obviously up top. Need him to start scoring now. Again, gone off the last few weeks. Key player for us. We need them goals 100%. But yeah, whether he'll set up like that, that's up to the manager. You know, he's the one that sees him at training every week. He'll have his own plans for this. He'll have seen, and the staff will have seen way more of Luton than I have. I've seen them once or twice. I know very little about them. I just know the formation they play and what that can generally mean sometimes. Like the midfield battle it's 3 in midfield. You know, it's defined. It's 3. We need 3, 100%, or we will just be overrun completely. And wide areas, obviously, these are the spaces you want to exploit. You want to stretch these guys here. And they're high up. Can we exploit? Can we stretch? Can we find spaces? So yeah, that's what I do based on that. Let me know what you guys think. I'm on the train tomorrow, so when I'm on the train, I'm going to spend a good hour and a half going through the last 3 videos and replying to everyone. Because I've been, honestly, and I'll say this every week, honestly, people, I was ill last week, which was grim. And I've just been, because of that, I'm backtracked at work, so I've got so much to do by Sunday. So I appreciate every comment. I have read some of them as they come through, and I will be replying to them before the next game. Remember I said this. So yeah, appreciate everyone. Absolute legends. Let's go win this game, eh? In a bit. Bye-bye.